Good morning once again, and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Kalvig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. I'm on with Glenn Ramey, an insurance specialist at our office. Kim, wealth. This last segment is on wealth, family finances. It all goes together with life insurance and planning, all those things we may not like to do, but they're so important to do because, we know that generational wealth just doesn't happen. We run into very few trust babies, contrary to what some listeners may think. Most of it's done over the course of time, from one generation to the next with hard work. And it's pretty staggering how quickly that can get lost because of a lack of planning, a lack of knowledge, not knowing what to do. And that's really sad to see when we see something built over time just disappear so quickly.
So having said all of that, and of course we always talk about here, when you start making your financial decisions, you need to consider lots of things. One of them, as we've been talking about today, is family education. And then we have medical expenses, and we have, maybe it's life insurance, and we have taxes, and we have investments. So how do you start to consider generational wealth? How do you approach that?
Well, we start with the same process we do with everybody to determine, do they have any generational wealth or not, or what are we working with? We do the same. We walk people through the same proprietary process from the time we meet them to the time they come into our office with a very laid-back approach, listening to what their worries and their concerns, and ask probing questions to get an idea what their goals and their objectives are for retirement, what they worry about, what they think they're doing good, what maybe they're not so strong in. What have they done so far? Do they have a long-term financial plan, which can create great vision for their family, their loved ones? Is education funding important, like our conversations today, a home ownership? What does their retirement look like, or a lack thereof? Because having these questions answered gives us a good idea of what we need to work on, what areas improvement might be. If they're charitable, we'll get into if you're a charitable giver, what we can do. I just set up some qualified charitable distributions for clients of mine that didn't need their required minimum distributions, and they had some favored charities that they wanted to give it to, and it made sense. All of these are going to accomplish some of the goals that people want, but if you're not having the conversations and you're only getting a meeting once or twice a year to talk about investments, that is not enough attention. And weekly, I see that's all the attention people are getting. They're paying way too much for the attention, and that isn't adequate. So you're probably not going to find out about these different tools, things you can do to minimize wealth. 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation, and 90% by the third. 90% by the third generation. Do you have an estate plan? Are you doing what you can with a trust? Tax minimization. All these things. Are you going to protect some assets from things that could happen? Again, it starts with these conversations. Again, just this week, we had very well-attended classes with our estate planning attorneys. We did wills, trusts, and legacy planning. By the attendance we had, it's obvious that people were concerned and they didn't know if they had their ducks in a row. And it's why we have numerous meetings from those well-attended classes, because people are worried, they are concerned, and they're seeking education. And that's where I think at Haven Financial Group, we do a really good job of education, and then you can make some good educated decisions. And that has always been our approach. And Kim, this is our 10-year anniversary, and we're not going to change that anytime soon. That is for sure.
Glenn, let me ask you, we obviously spoke in the last segment about using universal life insurance for saving for college. Do you advise some of your clients to use this kind of tool for saving for passing on legacy money?
100%. Think of it this perspective. What's the most generous way I can give someone a monetary contribution? And that's tax-free, right? Where they get to keep all of it. No one else gets any portion of it. And life insurance death benefits are 100% tax-free. On top of that, life insurance is leverage, right? You don't have to give an insurance company $100,000 for them to give someone else $100,000 as your death benefit. You might give them $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over your lifetime for them to be able to give you $100,000 upon your death. So it's another way to leverage those dollars that you have, those very limited dollars that we have, and get more out of it as part of those legacy planning.
Glenn, if you would add to the listeners that have put away adequate retirement funds for retirement, and we know that in recent years, some of the rules and laws with transfer of wealth has changed dramatically. For those that have done a good job, LIRPs, life insurance retirement planning, just touch on that briefly, if you would.
Yeah, so similar to the concept of the life insurance for the kids for college, right? Life insurance cash value can be another one of those tools in retirement planning as a way to set up a distribution of tax-free income that's tied to your life insurance, a way to borrow against the cash value and win a properly structured policy so that then those funds can supplement your retirement income. Right. And at the end, there's typically still going to be a life insurance policy left at the end of the process that's still going to pass on additional funds to your family on top of it.
So immediately, Glenn, that makes me think that those premiums are extremely high.
It's about what you want to do. So this is something that's really customized related to your needs. What do you want to set aside? Now, again, it's all proportional. The more I'm willing to give, the better the outcome's going to be. Right. Mm-hmm. But there isn't a fixed number on this. This is just about what you're comfortable with. And even if it's $1,000 a month or $1,000 a year in extra income, if it's tax free, that means, again, you get all of it. No one else is getting a piece of that for you. Where all those pre-tax retirement accounts, amazing vehicles for saving and preparing for retirement, are all going to come with Uncle Sam at the end of it. Right. Mm-hmm. Uncle Sam's going to get his share of that pie at some point. With the life insurance, just like the wealthy borrow against their stock values, right, to have income, this is a way you're borrowing against your leverage, your asset of life insurance, and then using that as a tax-free distribution used for income.
Sure. Larry, we're talking about insurance with Glenn, but certainly in the office, you have attorneys and you have all kinds of people who can sit down with some of your clients and talk about building, generational wealth, legacy wealth. And I would think that one of those would be just how to transfer the money and how to go about doing that. How quickly do you sit people down and say, have you thought about this and how we're going to go about it?
It's part of our ongoing initial conversation, always, whether they have an attorney relationship, whether they've done estate planning documents, do they have wills, trusts, do they have as simple as their beneficiaries on their accounts, which almost weekly we see folks that don't have any beneficiaries, that's an outdated beneficiary, they don't even like that person anymore, perhaps, although I hope that's not the case. Make sure your beneficiaries are current and up to date. It starts with that, which is so elementary. And then we have such a close relationship with provision law if one chooses to use them. And by the way, there is no cost for an initial consultation. And they do the work on the legal side. They'll notify us because we have a working relationship that this is how it needs to be retitled. This is the legal way it should be done. And that is it's called funding a trust or retitlement of assets in the proper way, because a lot of times if somebody passes and things were not done properly, it can lead to probate and a lot of headaches that you don't want to go through. So dotting the I's and crossing the T's and having somebody that's looking at the big picture of retirement, not just the investments. Now, investments are important, and we do wealth management with Charles Schwab and Fidelity Investments and the investment team, and we frequently on our show talk about that. But it's the other things, the things that Glenn and Isabella with Medicare and healthcare and life insurance and long-term care, which nobody wants to talk about. Lance, our CPA, is coming to the end of tax season as far as the tax deadline. And he goes, well, there's those that didn't plan, and then we had to file an extension. And I get all that, but I'm anxious to have Lance on after tax season to talk about what he helped people with and what we learned from this tax season. Just putting all the retirement puzzle pieces. And at Haven Financial Group, we have all those pieces that we can help you put together that puzzle. And although it can be complicated, it doesn't have to be. If you'd allow us to give sit down with us, give us a call at 612-504-8400. Just set up a time. Listeners have nothing to lose. We encourage even our own existing clientele to come out and to our classes, and our clients do. Because, Kim, just when you figure out what the rules are with some of this stuff, then they change the rules. Well, if you don't have anybody keeping you updated on how the rules changed, you could be lost in the past on what they were 5 years ago, which were different in many cases than they are today.
612-504-8400 or go to havenfinancialgroup.com. Be sure you set up an appointment. Sit down with the experts. It's one-stop shopping under one big roof there at Haven Financial. So be sure you set up an appointment. Let them know that you heard us here on the radio. Glenn, great to see you like always. Thank you for all the great info.
Thank you so much, Kim. Always a pleasure.
It was great. And great to see you, Larry, as well.
Kim, great to be with you. Look forward to next week where we're on to more conversations and topics. Have a good week.